By the way, I just want to quickly announce before we move on with this video, I'm not selling anything. I just want to say I'm going to be doing live games again soon on this channel. So I know I've been doing a bunch of these like replay reviews, but I am going to do some games where I just like record when I'm playing and talk over that. So I'm not really going to be taking hero suggestions for that. I said I was in the past, but I just thought about it. I need to mostly focus on competitive Dota right now. So I'm going to be primarily just playing the heroes that I want to learn and practice. But hopefully that will still create like really good content and educational experiences for you guys. So that will be coming back to this channel. Hey, what is up guys? It's your boy Speed here. Welcome back to the second channel. Not the gameleap channel, but hopefully also very good content that you guys are enjoying. Today we're going to be talking about MIRANA. I think this hero is extremely good in this patch. I think that for a couple of reasons. It got a lot of buffs straight up, like the E, for instance. Even though we're not talking about the Shard. The Shard got way better. I have no idea if it's good or not. What is it again? It's like a nuke. You like leap forward and you shoot a nuke. And it slows. It does some damage. It's not terrible. I don't think it's good, but it's definitely not terrible. It's like a nuke for 1,400 gold that gives you an extra leap. Definitely something that you could buy casually that people probably don't because it looks stupid. Either way, there's that. The speed bonus on leap, which is very significant, 32% at max, is 1.5 seconds longer. That's huge. But the biggest buff to this hero, outside of game changes, which I'll get into, is that Starstorm now is a way bigger search radius on the second target. So if you don't know how this ability works, it shoots in an AoE, and then the closest target to you gets hit by a second Starstorm that does 75% of the damage. So basically the idea is you leap on top of someone, hopefully you hit an arrow, if you don't, whatever, you leap on top of them, you Starstorm, and they take 525 magical damage if they get hit by the second Starstorm. However, the thing is, if you were chasing someone, the search radius of the Starstorm was way smaller than the radius of the actual ability. So if you leapt to someone to Starstorm them, right, let's say you're here and they're here, you would hit them with regular Starstorm, but the second Starstorm would always miss because the second Starstorm was way smaller. Now it is the same as the original radius, making it much easier to calculate if you're going to hit it, and it's huge. 225 damage in the early game is the difference between a kill or not in like so many situations. So this hero got significantly buffed just overall, and I think it's very good in the current meta. There's a lot of healing going around. It's a natural vessel buyer, very, very natural vessel buyer that scales well. And on top of that, I think it's good in the meta of like there's a lot of strength melee laners that are popular. Legion's pretty popular. Slaughter, I think, is going to get more popular. Timber's pretty popular. I was going to say Sand King. Not Sand King. Not Sand King. Sand King's not popular. What are the other examples I'm thinking about? There's a bunch of other... I think Undying is going to be a good offlaner. What else? I'm forgetting. You can comment down below. What are the good melee offlaners? They don't even have to be strength. It could just be a melee offlaner. She's very good with them because she just kind of like pokes the 4, arrows the range creep. It's good stuff. Because basically in a lane like this, right, that could maybe pressure Ennis a little bit, you just arrow the range creep and he doubles aggro, right? This is like MIRANA 101. Just so you guys understand this hero, you arrow range, you pull the wave back with the offlaner, so it kind of requires some synergy, but the reality is you could even arrow the range creep and do it yourself. But yeah, you just pull the lane back and you kind of just like, you split the wave and it makes it really easy to play even hard matchups. So the hero, it's kind of just good in every matchup. I wouldn't say it's like specifically the best hero for every lane, but it can play every single lane. Like MIRANA literally can play any lane because arrow just kills the range creep. It makes laning really straightforward because it always shoves. It's like it's like a weird version of Eidolons, right? It's like a weird version of Eidolons, so you can kind of look at it that way, where it doesn't help you trade better. So the only issue with this concept, I'm sorry, it does help you trade better. What am I saying? Not the issue. The advantage of this concept as well is when you arrow the enemy range creep, your wave will shove in slightly. Actually, no, it will shove in hard. Like as I think about it, it shoves in hard, and you'll see if the bristleback wants to man up, or realistically, I'm gonna keep it real with you guys. If it's like a 1 to 3K MIRANA game, and you kill the range creep and the enemy trades, and like your offlaner and their safe laner trade in the wave, it will be way more favorable for your offlaner over time just based on that. So that's huge. And that's basically all you need to do. Don't really try to hit the melee heroes too much. Like, this was pretty stupid from Ponlo. By the way, we're watching Ponlo, who's like a very talented support player. So I just want to mention that. But either way, on that note, yeah, you kind of just help out the trades really well. You have very good attack range as well, but just trade with the range support. Basically every lane, that's what you should be doing. Can you hit the safe laner? Of course you can. If you hit an arrow or you have like a stun setup, you can hit the safe laner and like play around your support. But in general, you just want to kind of arrow the range creeps, make your offlaner tilted if they don't understand what you're doing, and go from there. On top of that, if the large camp gets open, you can absolutely arrow the large creep. Especially if the enemy 5 and 1 are both not an XP range. It's a very valuable mechanic, as it's going to really snowball your game. So that's important. On top of that, I think the most misunderstood concept of the meta right now is unironically flag bearer creeps. It's 100 gold, guys. You know how much gold a kill gives in the early game? I'm going to skip ahead till someone dies. Briefly. Somebody die. Please die. Someone die. No one's dying. Kind of makes sense. This isn't really a kill lane. Alright, it's nighttime. Kill the Rubik. Back! Okay. Either way, a kill's like 200 gold, alright? It's like 200 gold. A flag bearer creep, if 2 heroes are getting the AoE gold, is literally 100 gold. It's not as much XP as a kill. Obviously, it's not even close, but you have to understand how big of a deal it is. On top of that, just for even more perspective, as I go back briefly, there's a flag bearer creep coming in. This flag bearer creep gives 3 HP regen. Imagine every hero in the game got a 3 HP regen buff, what that would mean. It would mean so much. That's what these creeps are. Obviously, they're not constantly alive, so it's okay. I'm exaggerating a little bit, but you get the point. It gives 3 HP regen. It's 3 HP regen in an AoE. If you kill it, you are at a severe trading advantage. So MIRANA has the ability to constantly put her lane in a trading advantage with range creeps and then flag bearer creeps. I honestly think with level 1 arrow, when it's a mediocre ability and you don't have a setup stun, you should just arrow the flag bearer creeps. And it's 100% viable. 100% viable and a good play. Alright, so as we move on, and by the way, I just spent like 3 minutes checking if you could arrow flag bearer creeps. You can! So do it! It's definitely good. It's definitely good. I'm 100% sure. Especially if you can buy the Sage's Mask on this hero over like the Ring of Protection. A lot of people do that. And you can just you can just arrow creeps like crazy, and you're gonna get snowballed. And you might be like, oh, but I'm taking it for my offlaner. It's gonna enable the lane to be better for your offlaner, and you should look at it like that. And if you're playing with a friend, you can explain it to him. Hopefully a bit better now, as it constantly keeps you in a state of creep advantage. And in Dota, that helps you win trades. Even if you don't have arrow, it helps you win trades. On top of that, I like that he maxes out his Q this game. He really doesn't have good setup for it, for the arrow, and he's going to be arrowing this large cramp quite a bit. You do want to keep in mind that you should often stack if you do this, because otherwise you can kind of grief people who go to farm it later on. But he decides to go back to lane for whatever reason. Probably just to help protect the Night Stalker a little bit. So the next thing you want to do on MIRANA basically every game if you decide to play this hero is you want to generally head towards mid. And when you do this, there's a couple of reasons. And you want to head towards mid, especially on the 6-minute rune. 2 reasons why this is really good. Number 1, you're contesting the rune, pretty obvious. So you want to head over around 5:30. And you can be really efficient with this, as I'm going to go back briefly, but you can even like stack towards the rune. So you can be really, really efficient, right? You can, if you're on Dire, even if you're on Radiant, you can do it. Radiant, yeah, you can do it. You can do it on Radiant. So you can stack the large camp, which is really great. And you're going to be able to get to the rune on time. Right? Doesn't really delay the rune contest. You can get there, still throw an arrow easily. So you can contest the rune, help with the mid gank, which MIRANA's quite good at, right? The hero obviously provides quite a bit of utility and damage in the early game. It's like 200 magic damage total if you hit the arrow and you hit the Q, which is a lot. Then you have leap. Unfortunately, her Invoker is is Classic Zor, which is so bad because like tornado setup, is very good with MIRANA. I guess he just wanted to go this build, even though I think it's bad this game. Let's not harp on that too much. Either way, it's really great as well, because at minute 6, the cart will probably still be alive, and you want to disarm the push. Right? If your mid laner is losing his lane, or just in general, if the enemy team has heroes that can set up on the tower like Chen, Enchantress, Prophet, arrowing the card is really good. It gives quite a bit of XP, but most importantly, it just prevents your tier 1 mid from taking unnecessary damage, which is very important in Dota, and it's a good play to make every single game. So this rotation, absolute necessity. If you miss this rotation, you're missing a big advantage of your hero, or honestly, a lot of 4s should do this. Like, you're probably thinking to yourself right now, maybe I should do this on every position 4. You probably should. In fact, most pros, they do. This is like a very common rotation. It's particularly good on MIRANA because she's good at contesting runes and good at killing the cart. But a lot of heroes can do something similar or close. So next up, we're going to see Ponlo gank and AFK Bristleback. I don't know what this guy's doing. I really don't. I have no idea, but he's standing still. And really the main message here is just play with your stuns. Like, don't make the game complicated, guys. For some reason, players just don't understand that you don't need to be, oh, what's the Hunger Games character? Shh, I had it in my head. Katniss. You don't need to be her, okay? Just play with a stun. Please stop throwing blind arrows. If you throw blind arrows, you're probably 3K. I'm keeping it real. You know what's funny? All the 2Ks are going to start throwing blind arrows so that they can say that they're 3K now. Don't do that, please. Don't do that. Just stop. Just play with your stun. If you have a stun, play with it. If you don't, try to take a lane. Like, try to get XP. Sat mid, arrow large creeps. Like, be a little bit greedy. If it's really hard to set up kills, either be the god of arrows, which is unreliable, or or just find a lane, because this hero scales extremely well into the mid game. So one of the next things that MIRANA can do that's kind of cool as a hero, quite a bit different to a lot of the classic position 4 heroes, is take a very aggressive stance on the map and pop smokes. So a lot of 4 heroes like Shaker can't do this because they don't really have a great way to get away. You can throw out a Fissure, but that's it. You know, and often it's not good enough against a lot of heroes in the early game. Like, it's not going to save you from a Bat Rider, but MIRANA can get away pretty easily for obvious reasons, and her ability to disengage is better now, considering the leap movement speed was buffed. So, for instance, here, she's looking to steal a stack of Ancients, a massive stack of Ancients. Not the gold, but the XP, or just contest who comes in the area. And it's a great play. He puts down Deep Vision and can easily grief who's jungling. And MIRANA is one of the best heroes in the game at griefing heroes that have to jungle early or jungle in general. So if you manage to win your lane, you hit some good arrows, or, you know, you're just abusing flag bearers and range creeps like I'm teaching you guys to, then you can literally run at heroes in the jungle. Like, if a safe laner is jungling here, for instance, like any of these camps, you can just run at them, right? You can just straight up run at them. If Bristle's doing it and he has no Vanguard, you can run at him. Even if he has a Vanguard, you can just sap his XP. And if people gank you, you're probably going to get away. Obviously, there's some matchups that you can't get away as easily in, like Puck, for instance. And so you should be careful. Like, obviously, it depends on the matchups. Right? So you got to look at the matchups, say, do they have long duration disables? If they don't, you can just provide vision for your team and constantly bait rotations. It's a very advanced way to play, but I think it's cool because it teaches you about what kills you. It teaches you how to play around deep vision, and it makes you just a way better player in that regard. As he goes for a play onto the Bristle here, that was a bit suspect. I don't know why they did that. Next up, I like this smoke play a lot. He smokes with the Ogre. It's just a well-synergized gank. Unfortunately, he was a little bit off on the arrow. It's not the best setup. Honestly, Ogre Magi's stun range is pretty garbage. But either way, it sets up for the eventual... What was that black hole? It sets up for the eventual Enigma kill. Why did he even go for that? Even if he hit it, he completely missed. Even if he hit it, I don't know, that's beyond me. It happens. It happens. But from there, you can see he's like, I like how he's playing this game. He's number 1 playing with the Ogre, or number 2 he's taking dangerous areas, because he doesn't. Once again, the follow up from his other cores is not great. Can Void from Night Stalker be good enough? Yeah. Can Sprout be okay? It's unreliable as hell, so I like how he's playing. Alright, this next minute from Ponlo is really, really clean. I was a little bit confused by his gameplay when I first watched it. But it ended up really working out. Just a lot of discipline to play with this Ogre. And it's good to see, right? He just understands his purpose in this game. Once again, playing a deep ward. And they can kill 4 out of 5 heroes. Them two together. I would say they probably can't kill Bristle. He's a little bit too tanky with the Vanguard. Maybe on Vessel they could try, or at least get him low. Like, force him back to base. But he's going to go in with the Sprout. Understands that the Sprout cannot be broken by Rubik. Secures the kill. Onto the Techies, getting earn charges for both. Even that red bomb was going to kill the Prophet, saving Prophet as well. From there, continuing to plan his wards really fast and effective map awareness here from Ponlo. You can see this is why he's a top player. And, you know, he's just looking at the map. Sees the Enigma go to the south. Sees the Night Stalker connecting. Sees that they have a ward. It's the perfect play. Nighttime Night Stalker coming in. Vision over the Enigma. It's just, you know, it's what you would want in a rotation. Enigma goes for the D ward. Blink on the Night Stalker. Arrow connects. Getting a little bit sus. They barely kill this guy. The Black Hole? No. He didn't have it. And that guy is low. But yeah, just a really clean set of plays, playing around their vision. And at this point in the game, if I had to guess, this will be a fun little game. He's probably going to go back to this bottom side ward. Maybe he's even ulting for that. No, they're going to go up the hill. Probably hunting Bat Rider. They can't kill this guy. They can try. Ooh, okay, good leap out. Good reaction. I think that might have been a smoke. Was that a smoke? That's a beautiful play if that was a smoke. That was a smoke. That's really good. That's really, really good. Oh, okay, they got a little bit lucky. He probably would have died if he was the one to pop it. I didn't realize there was an illusion. Either way, MIRANA, such a great smoke popper. If the enemy team lacks stuns, you can play very, very stupid, frankly. Like, stupid. Stupid in your average game. So, this game, he probably would die there. Even then, if he got lifted, he would be able to potentially force out a lasso to secure the kill. Or at least a blast off from Techies, which could put him out of position. But you're a very tanky hero. I'd love his build. He's got the Vessel. He's got the Wand. Nearly 1400 HP, especially with this neutral item that gives 5 all stats as well. He's just so tanky and slippery, and MIRANA's just so good at doing that as he hits a nice arrow. Great gameplay. They're just, the amount of space him and the Ogre are creating right now is fantastic. They're farming 3 lanes with the hypercore comp. To be fair, the enemy team scales well as well, but they're getting the occasional pick off, and they also broke a smoke, which is huge. Oh my gosh, look at the Bristle get poked down here. He's probably dead to the Vessel. Nah, he's not going to die to the Vessel. He's okay. Maybe Night Stalker can finish him off. Good Vessel onto the Bat. A lot of people think you can only Vessel strength heroes or healing heroes. Super not true. You can Vessel heroes because Vessel does more damage the higher HP they are. Right? It does damage based on their current health. So if they're low HP, it does very limited damage. But if they're high HP, this item shreds because it lasts 8 seconds. And it does 4% of their current health per second. So that doesn't mean it does 32% of their health, because it does less the lower they get, right? So it's probably about like 25%, but it's just like a casual 25-30% of their health. Because considering it also does a flat amount of damage, it's probably about actually the 32%, maybe 30%. So I guess it is about that. But like this Bat Rider, with taking no other damage, is just, yeah, he's just down like 33% of his health. One Vessel. It's such a good item. Like, yes, it requires you to get charges, but he basically solo kills the Bat Rider here. He even probably wussied out of it yeah, a little bit here. He also took his talent. Secret Arrow cooldown? Okay. I'm not a fan of it. I personally think the Starstorm max is better. It's just like 75 more damage AoE, and then another, what is 25% less of 75? I don't know. It's like 50-something, 57. I don't know. But the point is that he probably wouldn't be able to pick up the Bat here if he didn't take the arrow. To be fair, he hit a nice arrow into the Rubik. Intentional or not, I have no idea, but it might have finished off the Bat here. They'll probably kill him anyway. Okay. Ended up working out. It's just not a great Sacred Arrow cooldown because I feel like their disables aren't the best, but at this point in the game, I guess it's okay. They got the Sprout, which they might not react to. Night Stalker slow is good in the night. Cold Snap's decent, but it's not great. Either way, help out with the Roche. A little arrow onto the Roche. Maxed out the Q. The only thing about this build is that it does kind of limit how many points you have in Leap, which kind of sucks. And there are builds that play around Arrow and Leap only, but I think especially with the buff to Starstorm, I would not recommend that in the current meta. I'm a big fan of going, even Veil is a great item on this hero. I think if it's a bad Vessel game for one reason or another, or your mid laner wants to buy Vessel, then you can buy Veil, and I would highly recommend it. It's 18% spell amp to every single spell, including pure spells. So you can imagine in the early game, when he's running around with the Soaker Magi, if he's amping Fire Blast, Ignite, Arrow, Starstorm, they're going to be able to kill heroes way faster than usual. And it gives you mana regen and stats that your hero wants. So that's a great option as well. And the Bassi is great in the lane as well. So I think that's a fantastic build that you can go on Mirana in games, especially if your team is primarily magical damage. Magical damage. I will say Ponlo makes a bit of a mechanical era here, which I want to cover briefly. I just like covering mistakes, or like even small mistakes, because a big thing for me about improving in Dota is just understanding that you're not as good as you want to be because of primarily small mistakes. And small mistakes lead up to big problems, or like big general issues that you have within yourself as a player. But like a big thing for me, for instance, is in this clip here, he gets gone on by a Bristle, and I don't think his reaction is totally bad. I think most of it's good, but let's let it play out a bit. So he's fighting, Vessel's the bat, which I think is good. Like literally, I think this Bat Rider's HP gets ignited in Vessel. Like this is why Vessel's such a nutty item, because also their regen from bottle can't be used. Wand gets nerfed because of the Vessel. Like literally these two things combined, this guy loses half his health. Like he's just half health. That's so inconvenient, considering a cost of nothing to throw out. So I always find that impressive. But the big thing I don't like here is I understand the Bristle could disengage if he Vessels him, but I feel like he should assume, because his team is like, this Techies commits in, like you can see that Techies commits in. The Bristle's chasing pretty hard. He has 4 charges. I would have liked to personally see him Vessel him here, only because it would do like 700 damage or something like that. That's pretty good. Right, so I would have liked to see him Vessel before TPing. I do think it's a mechanical mistake, and I really don't like seeing players... Like, the main reason you're buying Vessel this game, outside of the fact that it's just good, like, he's used it twice on Bat Rider, it's just a good item on Mirana. It helps you kill people from full. Literally alone. It's like a solo killed item against supports, too. So, it's not only good against cores or healing heroes, don't get me wrong, it's not. But the main reason you're buying it, or not main reason, but the biggest reason you could buy it specifically on any hero against the enemy team is Bristle, because he's tanky and heals a bunch. So I would have liked to see him Vessel there. I thought it was a pretty big mistake. So next up, he ends up going Lotus. Basically, the other builds you can go on this hero are Veil, which is really good with Vessel, by the way. As I mentioned, Lotus is good. Yules, if your team lacks a stun setup, you can Yules and then arrow that way. You could scale with a Maelstrom, which I think is okay. I think the Shard is honestly just straight up pretty decent. Gives you a leap charge, lets you do an AoE nuke that slows. It's pretty good. Can even set up for arrow. Like you could leap, shoot this thing out, slow them, and arrow them, which is like kind of a decent concept too. So I actually think this Shard, even though it's like such a meme, is not that bad. It's probably good actually. So there's that. And yeah, that's going to be the end of today's video. I wanted to cover the fundamentals of this hero, go over some of the concepts and why I think Mirana is so good this patch. And yeah, thanks so much for watching. I'll see you in the next one, and I'm out. Peace!